hello, I'm ChattiNatti and welcome to West Indian Wednesday. How are you doing? For those of you who are watching me for the first time, hi, hello and welcome. And those of you who've been watching me before, thanks for coming back. Before I jump right into today's West Indian Wednesday, I'm just going to ask you to do one little thing for me. Go ahead and click that subscribe button just below this video and also hit the little red notification bell right there so that whenever I post a new video, you will receive a notification and you can come on over and check it out. Alright? So just to jump right into things. For today's West Indian Wednesday, I'm just going to go ahead with a little bit of what I was speaking about in my last video. I think the last West Indian Wednesday I was talking about what it's like being a West Indian. Today I'm going to speak about the perceptions of West Indians or Caribbean people from Northern Irish people. And first of all, I'm just going to jump right into it. I've been living here in Belfast, Northern Ireland for almost 7 years. Yeah, time flies. And without fail, every time I'm engaged in a conversation with someone new, of course they hear the accent, and the first thing they will say is, "Where are you from?" And so I'll say Antigua, and they're like, "Well, where is that?" And I'll say, "In the Caribbean." And some people might be like, "Oh, I know the Caribbean. I've been there." I'm like, "Oh, really? Oh, where have you been?" "I've been to Cayman Islands," or "I've been to the Dominican Republic," or for some people, they've been to Cuba as well. Sorry about that. For some people, they've been to Cuba as well. So far, I think the majority of people that I've met who in Northern Ireland who say they've been to the Caribbean have been either on a Caribbean cruise, or they've been to Barbados, or the Dominican Republic at some point in time. But generally, after they ask me where I'm from, and I tell them, the next question usually is, "Oh, so what are you doing here?" Right? And of course, I think as I mentioned in my last video, I'm always like, well, I'm living, yeah. I'm living, I'm working, I'm living my life, I'm doing my thing. That's what I'm doing here. Yeah? But I know why they ask that, and they normally follow it up with, "Oh, if I lived there, you know, I don't know how you do it. I would never come. I'd never come back, or I never want to be here. How do you manage the weather?" You know, their main perception is that Caribbean people are very laid back. You know, we're very never in a rush. We're very social. We like a bit of rum and a bit of, you know, those tend to be the perceptions, right? And yeah, those perceptions prevail. To be fair, I wouldn't say that's just Northern Irish perceptions. That tends to be the perception of most people in most places I've either visited or lived, you know, outside of the Caribbean. That seems to be the, you know, the general consensus. And I agree with some of it. I do agree that we're very laid back people, but not laid back to the extent of that we get nothing done, because, you know, we have a country to run, things got to be done, there's enterprise, there's work, there's, you know, the schools, there's things happening. So while we're laid back, we do get things done. Plus in the Caribbean, it's too hot to rush around, you know, it's too hot. So you have to take your time and do things, yeah? Nobody wants to be hot and sweaty just rushing about the place. And another thing they always ask is, well, how do you like it here? How do you like the weather? It must be so different from where you're from, right? And but as I mentioned in another video as well, like I said, it rains here in Northern Ireland all the time. Over 90% of the time, I feel like it rains here. And I normally follow that up with saying, well, while it rains in the Caribbean, you know, sometimes off and on, it's usually warm rain. You know, it's not freezing cold rain that will chill you to the bones, and, you know, you have to be worried about catching pneumonia and those kind of things. It's a nice warm rain, and when we get nice warm rain showers, they don't usually last, you know, that long, unless it's like a storm or you're in the middle of hurricane season or something like that. But other than being laid back, you know, one of the perceptions that they also have is that we you know, we spend a lot of time on the beach. You know, like 90% of our life or something, they think you know, we're on the beach. And I had to let, you know, a lot of people know that while our island, my twin island country of Antigua and Barbuda likes to boast of 365 beaches, there are many times when there have been like a whole year would pass and I only would have gone to the beach like maybe twice, you know. And trust me, right now I'm regretting those kind of years that I did that. I'm just like, what was I thinking? And I know many people who live in the diaspora as well probably understands exactly what I'm saying. It's like when you have something so easily at your disposal, you tend to not always not value it, but you tend to not always see the need of, you know, of maybe using it that much, or just, you know, having it. But then when you don't have it, you really appreciate, you know, the value of it. I've been invited to the beach in various countries. I've gone to the sea in Northern Ireland here. I've seen some bodies of water that would not even be seeing my toe. not even be seeing my toe, much less to my entire body. You know, the water is cold, it's brown, it's like there's no sand, it's a bunch of rocks and pebbles and moss and things, and you know, yeah. So I'm afraid I will have to decline on any invitations to jump into the sea. Maybe there are nicer beaches in other parts of the UK. I think there's a few over in England. I've seen some pictures. Yeah, but I don't think I'll be swimming anytime soon in Northern Ireland. Another one of the stereotypes is that, you know, we all like hot and spicy food. Oh, you must like that spicy food. You like a lot of spicy food, huh? I personally like spicy food. I can no longer have spicy food, but I personally like spicy food. But I know lots of other Antiguans and lots of Caribbean people who don't like spicy food, or you know, or they don't like it very spicy. But I would say the major stereotypes are that we are very laid back. We spend most of our time at the beach. We don't take anything seriously. You know, like everything's a big laugh and a big game and sport for us. And that one I object to on a lot of levels. It doesn't mean like we're walking around always upset and angry at things, but we do take things seriously. We are serious people, but we do like a good laugh and to have a good time as well. I think that probably is a positive trait for a lot of West Indian people. So that's, you know, that's good. But we do know when to take things serious, you know, and when to be, you know, serious. And another thing as well is about the educational system. This one isn't so much a stereotype from the average man on the street. This one might be more in case of if you are applying for a job or for further education or something, and you have like your transcripts or your grades from whether high school, secondary school, college, university, from the Caribbean. You might meet some scrutiny as in terms of wondering what our qualifications are like, what they stand up to, and you will be required to do an equivalency test with your transcripts and things like that. I don't know if they think that our educational system is not up to par, but by the figures enrolled in UK colleges and universities by Caribbean people and the positions held by Caribbean people in said universities and colleges and in various institutions, business companies, organizations by Caribbean people who have been educated in the Caribbean, I think that speaks for itself. And once you do get your foot through the door of whatever door that is, you know, as an educated Caribbean person, that always speaks for itself as well. I do find sometimes as well, another stereotype that I would encounter is Northern Ireland, as opposed to the rest of the UK, is very new in terms of a lot of diversity moving into the country. New in terms of maybe the last 20 years, 25 years or so, I'd say. Whereas other established cities such as London and maybe Glasgow or Edinburgh would have had more exposure to diversity for a longer period of time. So Northern Ireland is more or less kind of new in that sense, with you know, diversity, people from different ethnic backgrounds moving here. And so you'd find some people straight off the bat might think that you are either an asylum seeker or a refugee, or if you're black, they might just assume that you're automatically from Africa, and even though we're genetically from Africa, but that's another video for another time. Geographically speaking, you know, we're from a different region, so sometimes those are the stereotypes that you will encounter, and that's because you're a visible minority. You know, it's easy for some people to just, you know, lump you into some category or box. But yeah, so those are the main stereotypes that I've encountered while I've been living here in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And for the most part, I would say, you know, most local Northern Irish people are very welcoming. The ones that I've met and I've encountered, and also my friends, they're very welcoming. They're very interested in hearing about you, where you're from, your country. They want to hear about your culture. They want to sample your food, and they're very open-minded and very warm. So that has been good. And like I said, it's a new thing in terms of diversity and people from the BME communities, that's black and minority ethnic communities, who are moving into Northern Ireland. It's a relatively new thing for them, and for the most part, there are the odd occasions here and there where you might hear about little negative things, but I'd say that for the majority of the time, it's been positive in terms of my encounters with strangers, strange people. They're always ready to give a laugh, have a wee bit of crack, as they say here in Northern Ireland. A bit of crack means just, you know, just a bit of banter, a bit of fun, a bit of a good time with you, and engage you in conversation and just learn a bit more about you. And so that has been great. You know, that makes up for the cold that makes up for the cold, gray, damp weather, when the people are warm and the people are warm and sunny in their disposition towards you, or the ones that I've been lucky enough to encounter. So I guess it all balances out. But that's it for me for today's episode of West Indian Wednesday. Just a little bit about what I encounter in terms of stereotypes being a West Indian or a Caribbean person in Northern Ireland. I hope that gives a little bit of insight for you into what it's like being Caribbean and being in Northern Ireland. I get questions all the time, not just from family and friends, but persons who maybe see me on social media and who will, you know, send me a DM or private message me and ask me, what is it like, you know, being black in Northern Ireland, or what is it like being a black woman, or what is it like being from the Caribbean, or do you have access to this, do you have access to that, are there places where, you know, is it safe for me to come over? So this is just one of my means of communicating, to let you know what it is like living here from my point of view. And I'll be happy to hear what it's like if you are a Caribbean person living someplace where you are a minority, not just, you know, not just because of where you're from, but maybe in terms of the ethnic makeup of where you're from. If you are a minority person or a Caribbean person living in a place with another dominant culture, what are some of the stereotypes that you encounter? What is it like living there? What is it like living there? And what are some challenges you face? And what are some positive things that you encounter as well? But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. And please don't forget to follow me on my social media handles. On Twitter, I'm at ChattiNatti. On Facebook, facebook.com/ChattiNatti. On Instagram, I'm at ChattiNatti. And you can find me on my WordPress blog, where I write and rant about various topics. It's ChattiNatti.wordpress.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.